So, I got something in the mail today, and it's something that I've been waiting a little bit of time for. I've been quite excited to showcase on the channel, and today's the day I'm going to do that. In front of me is the 100,000 subscriber award for YouTube. It's kind of like cutting out, but there you go. You can kind of see it there. In front of me is the 100,000 award for YouTube. And you guys are the reason that I have this. So I can't thank each and every one of you enough for subscribing to the channel, for supporting my content and supporting me throughout the 4-ish years I've been posting content now. I mean, it's kind of crazy to me to believe that I've been posting YouTube videos for 4 years because it's just, I don't know. I mean, what's crazy to me is I don't get bored of posting YouTube videos. Maybe it's the ADHD I have, and it's the fact that I'm always looking for something new. But I'm always posting something new. I'm always coming up with a new idea for Blitz, which is very fun for me. I'm always trying to get new ideas, which is exciting. Today's video, because I've already talked about my past and why I started the channel and influences I've had, today we're going to be focusing on frequent questions that have been asked, and I'm going to be answering those questions, and that's about it. So, yeah, let's get into it. The first question that I don't think I've ever talked about on the channel, maybe on live stream occasionally, is the question of, am I a genuine person? Is the content I'm posting actually real to my personality, or do I make it up? You know, a lot of people always say, oh, Droodles posts drama content for the views. And I could care less about the views for drama content. And you can literally just look at the views I get. Go look at a video I've posted on the E10, which is the new Battle Pass tank, or the KV2 Junior, and you'll see that those videos have upwards of 30,000+ views. And then look at a video where I have drama with Martimator, and that video has 13,000 views. Drama videos, in general, don't get as many views on this channel as videos that break into tank reviews or information. If I really cared about views, as some people say, I could easily just make a video titling, oh, the new most overpowered tank is coming in a World of Tanks Blitz. But that's not the case. So I don't do drama because of the views. I don't do it because of the money. Half of the drama videos I post aren't even monetized, and the one on Meadsy has been unlisted for quite a while now, because Meadsy unlisted his, and we both agreed that if both of us unlisted our videos, it would be over. And that's kind of what happened. And Meadsy and I have been chill ever since. And the thing that I want to talk about today is the fact that a lot of people think the content I'm posting just isn't real, and what I say isn't my actual personality. And trust me, if you were in a VC with me anytime outside of posting YouTube videos, you would be experiencing about the same personality as you're experiencing when I record videos. I mean, obviously, I'm not speaking every 10 seconds in a VC with my friends, and you're not going to hear me speaking as much like I'm a presenter, but in general, you're going to hear the exact same opinions. And the rants you hear me make when I record videos are the same rants that you'll hear me make when I'm off camera. I mean, trust me, I have had many rants about this game. So, when it comes to my opinions and how I share them, it's the real deal. I mean, that's why I do live commentary. That's why I play my games with very little editing. Because editing, in my opinion, is almost like snake oil. It says, oh, you don't know why I did an edit there. Did I lie? Did I say something that I shouldn't have? Did I type something in game chat? I don't like to put edits in my videos because of the fact that I feel like it takes away from the genuine personality a person may have. And when you over-edit a video or you do something else, it just takes away. So that is why I've always kind of liked Charlie's content, Moist Critical, where he basically does no editing, and it's just a long take with a camera. That's what I try to do for Blitz content. It's just me talking to a bunch of dudes about tanks, which is about as exciting as it gets. But that's why you will see drama videos. When I post drama videos, it's not because of the fact I dislike the person. It's not because of the fact I want to wish them ill intent. It's mainly because of the fact usually I see some sort of misinformation and I try to correct that misinformation. We can see that, for example, with Meadsy. He posted a tier list that I personally disagreed with, so I shared my opinions online. And that is the same case with Setchman. I see clickbait content that's trying to farm views off of people that don't know what they're looking at, that are naive. And because of that, I don't like that, especially when he has misinformation about tank statistics and what he calls the worst in the game. And when I see content like that, I literally get frustrated. Like, I personally get frustrated. And I almost feel obligated, like I want to make a video to make sure that people know what is right and what is wrong. And that's how it is. But for the most part, I don't really post drama. And I always find it interesting that people try to criticize me and say I'm a drama channel, when this year I've posted 3 videos which could be counted as drama. And that's it. Out of like 700 videos this year, 3 of them could be counted. Like, that's nothing. But people try to get that one little tiny percent and pin it on. So, when it comes to me as a real person, the content you see, as I said, is the real deal. I don't fake what I say. My opinions, I stand by them. Whatever I say when it comes to opinions, that's my actual opinion. And that's why I defend them so, valiantly, is because that's how I see the game. When I talk about comp, and I talk about plays, and I talk about this and that, what I see is what I feel. So I say that instead of putting a mask behind it, if that makes sense. Speaking of cuts, I just made one. And the question is, did I say something off camera that you don't know or trust? Maybe I said I hate pineapple pizza. You'll never know. But in general, I try not to put cuts in my videos, and it's because of the fact you don't know what I'm cutting out, and that can be a little bit dishonest. Let's move on to another question. I think we've nailed that one in the coffin. Another question that always pops up on the channel is, do I cherry pick content? And I've made a lot of videos talking about this, but it seems like time and time again, you get people that try to stir up the controversy of, do I cherry pick? And no, I don't. It's one of the things I get mad at, because people always try to make excuses to why somebody else might do well, instead of simply admitting, gee, maybe I'm just not playing this tank properly, and maybe I should learn how to play it a little bit better. It's always, nah, that person must be lying. Those are games that are 1 out of 100, and that's actually not the case. And when I see stuff like that, it does get me a little frustrated. I don't care if people think I'm lying about the content. I care when people make excuses for why they might be doing bad, and that, as copium, they're saying, oh, it's cherry-picked, the tank's not that good. Things like that do get me a little bit salty, because I don't cherry-pick, and I never have. I do a play-to-lose series, where I will literally play for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. My Barask video is 2 hours long, where I play game after game after game, and I don't lose a single battle in a row. And it shows how with skill and knowledge, you can win games properly. And it's why I don't cherry pick. It's actually what gave me the idea to the Play to Lose series, is thinking, what's a way that I can just keep playing over and over and over without, losing? That's kind of what the thought process was. So that's what the Play to Lose series is. It's why I usually average a lot better damage in the Play to Lose series, because I actually have to try, rather than, for a video, I'm just having a little bit of fun playing and then moving on. So no, I don't cherry pick content. Another question that a lot of people ask me is, why do I always call tanks good? And for the most part, that's true. You can watch every single video of mine, and I will say good things about the tank, and usually very little bad. I will point out the bad. People act like I don't ever say bad things about vehicles, and trust me, if you watch my one of 18 million BZ75 videos, I have plenty of bad in there, talking about why the gun's derpy, and why the armor doesn't work, and why the tank looks useless in certain situations. And I do that for every tank. You'll hear me complaining about the 777 reverse speed. Any tank that gets released, I will always talk about the things that I have not enjoyed while playing it, and the things that I have enjoyed while playing it. And the reason I don't call any tanks bad is because usually I can make them work whether or whether not they are good or bad tanks. A great example would be the 114 SP2. The tank on paper is pretty mid, and even in gameplay, it's pretty mediocre. I would easily say that the 114 SP2 is one of the most bland tier 10s with an incredibly frustrating gun in certain circumstances. And if I were to say that in a video, it's true, which I have said. But at the same time, I still average over 3,300 damage in my 114 SP2 with 40 games played in it on my press account alone. And when you pair that with the 86% win rate I have with those games, then wait a sec. It's a tank that's not very good, which is worse than the rest of its vehicles around it, but yet I'm still averaging 3,000 plus, and I'm still going plenty in win rate. Why is that the case? And it's because of the fact that even if a tank might not be as capable as its surroundings, you as a player can still use its capabilities, its advantages, and your skill to win battles with it. And that is as simple as it gets. That is why I like tanks that are unique, that most people would consider mid. The STG Guard is one of my favorite tier 8s in the game, and the average player or even skilled player would probably call me weird for liking it. Yet I have over an 85% win rate with 2600 in it, which is pretty solid for a tier 8. And that's how I see tanks. It doesn't matter how weird or how funky the playstyle is. In general, if you know what you're doing, skill will allow you to do good in the vehicles. And that is why I never call a tank outright bad, because skill is the #1 factor on how a vehicle can play. If you're skilled enough, you can do well in any tank. And that is why, for the most part, I average the same damage in every vehicle I play. You know, a lot of people always ask me, well, how do I average the same damage in, let's say, a Caro? You know, my Caro's got about 3,800 average damage on the press account. How do I average the same damage in a Caro as I do an E100? And how do I average the same damage in an E100? And how do I average the same hit rate in an E100 as I do a 60 TP and a Leopard 1? And the answer is, you play the tank according to its playstyle. If you're driving a vehicle with a really inaccurate gun, like the 60 TP, then you put the vehicle in positions where you know the accuracy isn't going to screw you. You play it a little bit closer. You play it in certain circumstances where you don't need to worry about the gun messing up. And that's the same thing for a vehicle like a 5A. You look at, hey, the vehicle might not have the best heat pen, but it does have a really solid level of DPM. It has great mobility and solid gun depression. And if you play a tank in its positions that allow it to use these values well, then you can do incredibly well. That is why I never call a tank bad. Because personally, I believe a tank being bad is fully down to the skill level of a player. You could really ask any single player in the game their opinion on what this tank plays like and what that tank plays like, and they are going to tell you, oh, well, I don't like this tank, but I like that one. And then you can ask a different person, and they'll have the exact opposite opinion. And I try to have a consistent opinion on whatever tank I'm reviewing. I try to take away the opinion, and I try to just play a tank and see what it can do. And if I can average fine in the vehicle, then I have no complaints about it. There is yet to be a single tier 10 released in the game that I can't go over at least 3,200 in, let alone a 70% win rate. And sure, some of them struggle. The FE4005, for example, it's a great example of a vehicle that I still think is great and can do a lot of good, but is incredibly team reliant, and because of that, takes away from the vehicle's overall capabilities. The tank itself is fine, and if you know what you're doing, you can do very well in it. But unfortunately, relying on a team is a factor for vehicles, and it's why people may dislike tanks, for example, like the T28, because sure, the tank itself might have a solid gun, and even troll armor if you play it properly, but it's an incredibly team-reliant vehicle, and because of that, you need to know how to properly play it with a team. But hey, if you play it right, then it might work out well for you. So, as I said, that is why when I make my reviews on vehicles, I always try to talk about the good things. Because always focusing on the bad, first of all, gives excuses for playing bad. If you say, oh, this tank sucks, then you're giving people that watch your video an excuse for doing bad in the tank. When in reality, you should be saying, well, the tank might not be the best, but you can still do well in it. And this is how. That's how I look at vehicles. I always try to look on the positive side rather than the negative. And sure, I probably have videos for every tank talking about the negative. I remember when the Badger was in its pre-buff state and I begged and begged and begged for Wargaming to buff it, and they haven't. And now we look at the CS63 and it's kind of like the pre-buff Badger, where the CS63, I keep begging and begging and begging Wargaming to buff it. But you know what? At the same time, I don't think the CS63 is an awful tank. I think you can do decent in it if you know what you're doing, and you can see that in my reviews. My reviews on the vehicle don't say it's an awful tank. I just say it's not a good tank. It's not a vehicle that you should go out of your way to grind, but I still do fine in it. I still have over 3,500 average damage in the vehicle. It's a medium. And mediums are good for getting out damage, and they're good for winning if you know what you're doing. So because of that, I still do fine in it, and it's a great example of how, even in circumstances where the vehicle might not be the best. Again, if you're doing bad in the tank and you watch a video saying, oh, this tank sucks, when, again, it could be you making mistakes, it leads the viewer on to thinking, oh, well, it's not the tank, it's not me, it's the tank. So that's why I always focus on saying a vehicle is good. It's pretty simple, but that's definitely one of the reasons. I'm trying to think of any other important questions that people would ask. I mean, you see oil up, you know, that's a big one. Does Droodles like femboys, you know, the most important questions, which you'll never know the answer to. But in general, There's a lot of questions out there. I'm probably missing some, but these are the ones I wanted to cover in today's video. If you have any more that you'd like to have answered, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll make another video if I remember. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. And again, thank you for the 100,000 subs.